equipment? Do you take these pictures with your phone, or do you have a camera, or how do you? They're really nice quality.
Actually, I one thing that I always say is that anybody can do what we're doing. Anybody. You know,
Hmm.
the thing is that you've got to be willing to buy the best products, buy the best materials, spend the most money, and not charge the most of anybody. So as long as you're willing to do those things, you can do the same thing I do. Because even though my prices aren't outrageous, the quality of everything that we do is top notch. So I actually, when we started, I was taking pictures on the phone, and iPhones take good pictures and whatnot. But I think everything changed when I actually bought a Canon R6 camera, which is a $3,000 camera. You know, uh,
Yeah,
a professional photography lens from Canon, an L lens, so not just the one that came with the camera, but an additional lens that's also over $1,000. You take a
no,
picture and you notice the difference between, you
sure,
know, even the pictures that the business themselves post, because they have their own Instagrams, they have their own websites, and you see the pictures that they take and that they post for themselves, and you compare it to the pictures that I take after I clean, and there's a noticeable difference. I'm willing to
sure.
spend that money because I want to promote your business, because that makes our business look good too. So
That's awesome. I mean, that's really unique. I think to me that stands out because one is the investment in the equipment, which there was a name drop there, which hopefully we can in the future have them as one of our sponsors too, because they're huge. But I mean, I think the quality is very noticeable. That's why I asked the question, because you can tell what kind of goes one step above. I mean, no knock against iPhone. I have Apple, obviously, and you're right, they do take good pictures, but I think you can see that you have equipment that goes even one step further. And why wouldn't you want to do that if you're a business owner? It's a no-brainer. You're not, obligated, but it really shows the attention to detail. And if you're going to that extent to have that attention to detail from the marketing lens of not just your final product, but also your clients, then how much are you putting into the cleaning itself? So it goes hand in hand. I think it's a great testimonial. Good
and
job.
actually, it keeps us accountable because that camera and those lenses, they capture everything. And I mean everything. If you have a smudge in the chrome, it'll come out in the picture. And yeah, you can edit it post, but even though I like to play around with the colors and whatnot, make it vibrant, I don't like to present things that aren't real, you
Right.
know? So I've some pictures that I've posted, I my caption will be like, this picture took me 3.5 hours to stage, because really, 3.5 hours of cleaning for a 2-second photograph that I'm gonna post. I don't post about us cleaning and us doing all this stuff. I post after we're done, and yeah, it holds us accountable for actually doing the job correctly when the quality's that high in the photographs.
Yeah. You're kind of putting yourself in a position where you're putting the focus on yourself and, stepping up to the expectation. You're setting a high bar, basically.
Right.
And that's really, I think, a good sign of any business, because I think there's going to be people watching that are curious about how can I start my own business. Like you said, anybody can do this. I think a lot of things you can say that about, like anybody can do it, but very few do, because again, the execution, um, the expression, everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do, right? And it's like, you're talking about your schedule before we started talking about doing, clopins where you're literally closing and opening as far as your schedule. And that's not fun. It's not pleasant. A lot of people wouldn't sign up for that. And I think it's a reality that people need to understand, that to get the results and to have this kind of image that is, again, real and authentic. It doesn't come by chance. It doesn't just happen. It's a deliberate kind of focus and discipline. And I think that's really important for people to understand, is that, again, um, I was joking about the little sign on I-25 here in Colorado faster can be a disaster. People sometimes apply that in a lot of things, including business. They try to be quick. They try to give this image of something that they're not, and then they fall short of not just their expectations, but the client's expectation, and then they're out of business. They don't last. And so I think taking your time, investing like you're doing, and putting the money where it needs to go is a sacrifice that pays dividends when you do it the right way. And I think that's huge. I mean, I think looking at the website and seeing the images, or you can kind of, they say picture says 1,000 words. So you're doing, again, 1,000 different communications through this one image of not just the quality of your cleaning, but also the quality of your relationships with your clients. And I think that that's really the best marketing tool. I think organic growth is really tied into people wanting to do business with you because how you do business.
Really, it trickles down to everything that we do, because yeah, the camera was an expensive purchase or whatnot, but we do that with everything that we use for our company. So for example, instead of just I'm gonna bring in a Hoover vacuum, there's nothing wrong with Hoover. Awesome. Hope they sponsor the show someday. But instead of just I'm gonna bring in the Hoover vacuum that I can purchase at Walmart, we special ordered backpack vacuums, that are from Pro Team that will, they'll cover so much more ground. We didn't order one, we ordered two. We have electrostatic sprayers that are really hard to come by, that are really expensive, but you spray it and it wraps your disinfectant around whatever you spray. We didn't just go purchase disinfectant, at a big box store. We actually did the research and bought, hospital grade disinfectant that is proven and certified to kill COVID in a minute. So we do the best we can do with everything that we have, you know
Right.
and we know that small businesses like barbershops are suffering too from so many restrictions and so many things that they have to do. So we don't go out there and charge, you know outlandish prices for what we do, because it's what I always say, it's the difference between buying tires and getting an oil change. You
Yep.
don't pay $500 for an oil change, but you do pay $500 for tires, right? But how often do you get tires? Once a year, once every 2 years, maybe. But how often do you get your oil changes?
Yeah.
More often. That's why they're cheaper. So you have to be cheap enough or inexpensive enough for people to get your services recurring, and
Yeah.
eventually it builds up. You know,
Sure.
because if they're only going to use you once because you're so expensive, you're never going to make any money.
Yeah. No, absolutely.